All right, welcome back. At this point, we should have 4 modeled parts that will make up our Thor's hammer. Before we start making an assembly, which is to put all of those parts together, I've actually put them all together in an assembly and I've kind of viewed what it looks like, and I'm actually not quite happy with the look of it. It's not proportional. The hammerhead, I think, needs to be a little bit bigger, the handle needs to be a little bit longer, and the diameter needs to be wider on the handle as well. The strap seems to be okay. If we change the diameter of the handle, that means we also have to change the diameter of the hole on the hammerhead and the hole on the pommel. So those things are what we're going to kind of cover in this video, making modifications after the fact. So we've modeled these parts, but now we can go back into them and we can edit them one by one. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make the hammerhead a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go, and you can see I'm in my Thor's Hammer project folder. If you haven't made a folder yet where you've put all your parts there, please make sure you do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my hammerhead. And very quickly, this is going to be an easy fix, I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. So the first thing I want to look at is probably my sketch 1. So under sketch 1, you can see on the left-hand side, there's going to be 3 buttons, three dots next to where it says sketch 1. I'm going to tap those 3 dots, and then it's going to give me the option to edit. So I'm going to go to edit, and there I can see that I have a 2x2 square. That's what we started with at the beginning of our design. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tap on where it says 2. I'm going to double tap, and I'm going to change that to 4. Hit the check mark. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with the other dimension. Tap on where it says 2, double tap, and change that to 4, check mark. Once I've made that change, I'm going to hit the check mark where it says sketch 1 in blue, check mark. And now you can see that it's kind of changed it, and it looks a little off, right? Or a lot off. That's okay. What we're going to do is we're going to go into our extrusion 1, and we're going to extrude a bit more than we did before. So where you can see extrude 1 on the left-hand side, we're going to tap the 3 dots, and then we're going to go to edit. So we're going to edit that extrusion. We just edited the sketch 1, and now we're going to edit the extrusion to sketch 1. So edit, and then you can see that under depth for that extrusion, we did 4. So we doubled up. We went from 2x2 to 4x4. So I think it makes sense for us to extrude twice as much. So we're going to change 4 to 8. So where it says depth 4 inches, we're changing that to 8, and I'm going to hit the check mark. And now I'm going to hit the check mark for extrude 1 to finish that extrusion. And you can see now it is bigger, but now we have one more issue, right? The hole. Not only is it too small, but it's in the wrong spot. We want it to be right in the center of our hammerhead, so we have to do that. That hole is located under sketch 2. So we can hit the 3 dots next to sketch 2 so that we can edit it. So I'm going to hit the 3 dots. I'm going to go to edit. And you can see if I zoom in, we have some dimensions based off the center point of that circle to the edge of our block. Those are the dimensions that I want to change first. So you can see where it says 2 over there, 1 over here. Those are dimensioning, that's a dimension from the edge of our block to the center point of our circle. So where it says 1, I'm going to just double tap that, and I'm going to change that to 2. Remember, we doubled our dimensions, so these dimensions as well should be doubled. So this one for 2, I'm going to change that to 4. All right, and then I haven't really decided how big of diameter our handle will be, but I guess this is a good time to decide that. That circle you can see is 1.25 in diameter. I'm wondering what would happen if we changed it to 2. So made it almost twice as big. I think that's okay. I think that's going to work. So we changed the diameter to 2, from 1.25 to 2. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to finish my sketch by checking the check mark or pressing the check mark here. And it looks like we are done with the hammerhead. Okay, I'm going to go on to the next video, or the next part. This video might be a little bit long, but that's okay. So hammerhead is now changed. So we have to go and change the diameter of the handle and lengthen it a little bit, make it a little taller. So I'm going to go into my handle, and two things we got to change, right? The diameter first. So the diameter is going to be changed in sketch 1 because we started out with a circle at the very beginning of our part. So sketch 1, I'm going to go into the 3 dots and I'm going to edit that so that I can change that diameter to, looks like it's already at 2. That's interesting. I think I may have made that change, that edit already in a previous video. So let's see, what if I just go back and pretend that I didn't make that change? So I'm going to go into sketch 1. What you're going to probably see is 1.25. Okay, so pretend you didn't see that. I'm going to go back, and that probably means I had my extrusion made already as well. That might have been a different number. Can't quite remember. So imagine now that I'm opening it up again. So we're going to go into sketch 1, 3 dots, edit, and what you should see is 1.25, right? So we're going to double tap that and we're going to change that to 2. And I'm going to tap the check mark. And I'm going to finish my sketch by tapping on this check mark where it says sketch 1. And that diameter is now increased, but we do probably want to make that a bit taller. So under extrude 1, I'm going to tap the 3 dots again. I'm going to edit that, and it is at a depth of 8 right now. We probably want that to be a little bit taller, so I'm going to change it to maybe 15. We'll see how that looks. I'm going to finish my extrusion with the blue check mark, or where it says extrude 1 check mark. And I think that is it. Okay, so now the handle is done. We're going to go back, and we have our hammerhead edited, our edit for our hammerhead done, our edit for our handle done. Now we just have to do the pommel. So if you remember, the diameter we changed to 2. That hole on the pommel is probably still 1.25. So I'm going to go into that pommel, spelled that wrong. And you know what? I'm actually going to do that now. If you guys want to as well, I wonder if I can change the name of this thing. I realized I spelled that wrong. There we go. And now I can go into it. Go into that pommel. And what we're going to do is we're going to have to change the size of that hole. Now this might be the trickiest one, so let's see if we can figure this out. I'm going to go into sketch 1 first, and I'm going to edit that. So that is the outer diameter of our pommel. That is going to be, that's going to need to be increased because the hole for the handle is 2. So if we can increase that by, let's say, at least 0.75, I would think. So let's do 2.75 and see what happens. I'm going to hit the green check mark and then the blue check mark. Okay, that makes it look a little funny, but once we change the inner diameter, the hole, it might look a little bit better. So that one is going to be under extrusion 2. So I'm going to go to extrude 2, 3 dots, edit, and yep, that is the size, or sorry, that's the depth. Maybe we don't want to do that. So I'm going to hit the check mark under extrude 2. It's actually the sketch we want to go into. It's going to be sketch, for me, it's going to be sketch 2. So sketch 2, 3 dots, edit, and yeah, that's what we want to go into. So sketch 2 has that hole, that circle that we created of 1.25. We do have to change that to 2. So I'm going to type in 2, green check mark, finish my sketch. There we go, that looks a little bit better. But now look, we got an issue. And this issue is because of the fillet that we have set on our part. So that fillet, I believe, is fillet 2 for us. That all I have to do is decrease the radius on that. So under fillet 2, I'm going to go to edit. And instead of 0.25, I'm going to decrease that to maybe 0.2 and see if that helps us. Nope. I'm going to change that back to 2.5. That is the wrong fillet. Sorry, I'm just working on this as I go. I haven't really looked at this since last time I made it. So I'm trying to remember where all of our fillets are. So maybe that is fillet 1. I'm going to go into fillet 1 and edit. Nope, that seems to be the bottom one. So I'm going to get out of that. What about extrusion? So is it not even the fillet that's the issue? Might be the extrusion. If I go to extrude 3, trying to figure out, trying to troubleshoot. It could be the extrusion on the entire hole. When I made the hole, I might be extruding down too much. That's my guess. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my extrude 2, which has my hole, and I'm going to go to edit. And maybe that depth of 2.5 is too deep, that it's cutting into my part. That's my guess. So maybe I'm going to change, instead of 2.5 for my depth, maybe I can just change it to 2.25. Check mark. Check mark. And yeah, that seems to fix my issue there. Now you can see that the bottom part of this pommel is a little bit too small. That little end of it. It just isn't proportional anymore. So that's probably the last thing that we want to fix. And if you remember, that should be under extrusion 3, which is tied to our sketch 3. So we might need to look at sketch 3, edit. And yeah, that's our circle there that we created. We might need to increase that a bit. So if we increase that maybe to 2, let's see what that looks like. That might help us. So I'm going to change that to 2, hit the check mark, and yes. I'm going to show that one more time. I'm going to undo that. So you can see it's not proportional there. It's a bit too small. That circle needs to be increased. The diameter of that circle at the bottom needs to be increased. The way I do that is I go into my sketch 3, 3 dots, edit, and instead of 1.5, I'm going to increase that to 2. Green check mark, blue check mark, and there we go. Now it's going to be able not only to look proportional, but the handle will be able to fit into that hole, because that diameter is now changed to 2. All right. Now I think we are done with all of our parts. I'm going to go back, and we should be ready to assemble all this together now. We'll see you in the next one.